everybody, it's Rachel. On my channel I talk about reading and writing, and today is a big day because I'm going to be vlogging my experience reading V.E. SCHWAB for the very first time. And you're probably like, Rachel, you are a reader. You read books. How have you not read any V.E. SCHWAB yet? I don't know. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I've read like some of her Instagram posts. I respect V.E. SCHWAB as a writer for sure. Like the way that she talks about her process and everything like that, and how writing books makes her feel. I feel like I have always had a lot of respect for her. It's just, and no hate. It's just based off the synopses of her books. I just wasn't sure if I'd like any of them. Like a lot of them weren't grabbing me. The ones I've been most interested in the past were Gallant, and then her book for younger readers, City of Ghosts. Yeah, City of Ghosts. But the one that has grasped me the most is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. And I know that some people are going to be like, why are you starting with this book? It is not necessarily her most beloved. I've seen extremely mixed feelings on this book. I think some people seem to really love it. Some people seem to think it's like really boring. So like, we'll see what I think. But this is her book about vampires. It's a little bit longer. We're supposed to have multiple perspectives across a wide expanse of time. Wide expanse of time. And I love all of those things. So I feel like this one should have my best shot at liking it. So yeah, we're going to see how it goes. I'm going to vlog my experience and it's going to be a great time. Hopefully. I'm going to be kind of disappointed if I don't like this. I'm not going to lie. So let's see what I think. I actually really enjoy this cover. This is actually my first time seeing it without the dust jacket. Very cool. That's a very creative interpretation of her name. I like the design elements. Yeah, definitely some cool design elements here. I'm supposed to be nearsighted, and the book is not that far away from me, but I think I need my glasses, even though it's not very far, so that's probably not a great sign for my vision. So, I haven't had a ton of time to read because it was like Christmas and then I got a Switch and I've been playing so much Mario Kart. But I am decently through Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil at this point. I would say I'm like a quarter, right? So far, we're mostly following the perspectives of Maria from the 1500s and Alice from 2019. I'm definitely more interested in Maria than Alice at this point, even though I'm usually more of an urban fantasy kind of girl. At first, I feared it would be a little slow, but it is, because not much is happening, but I am so along for the ride right now. Like, I'm really enjoying my time. It's just now getting vampy. But even so, I feel like V.E. SCHWAB, she created these two characters, Maria and Alice. Do I really relate to either of them? Honestly, no. But I can empathize with them and I'm interested in them. So it's not bad. I'm having a pretty decent time. Like I said, I think the writing's pretty solid. I can't totally tell how this story is going to go, and normally I don't like stories that are more pants than plotted, but I don't know, I'm kind of along for the ride here. I think that this is going to be, I think this could be really good. One other thing, we just got introduced very briefly to a character named Renata, and I just saw someone on YouTube reviewing a book that also had a character's name Renata. I literally just named a character in my new fantasy book that, and I remember I saw the name online. I was like, wow, it's so unique, so different. No, I guess not. I'm not changing it though, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't make a difference. It's just I'd never seen it before, and now I see it everywhere. I just woke up and I haven't brushed my hair and I'm having my iced coffee. I wanted to give you an update on where I'm at with Barrier Bones and Midnight Soil. So I am like slightly over halfway now, and I feel like I haven't had much to say because not much is happening, but I'm also like, again, I'm not mad about it. I really thought I was going to be mad about it if it was like this, but I'm not. We're finally starting to see how our past storyline and our present storyline are going to come together. So, basically, I'm at the part where Alice she confronts Lottie, Charlotte, and Charlotte mentions, very briefly, I don't know the details yet, that Sabine is somehow involved. So, I'm excited to see where this is going. I'm anticipating that this is going to be like a 4-star read for me. But I think it's going to depend on what the ending does, because I'm kind of curious to see how it's all going to come together with Sabine, the resolution for all these women. But I'm also like really curious about where this is going to go thematically compared to where we're at now, because I feel like with the convergence, we have this moment of saying something really powerful. Because I don't know anything about Charlotte yet. I'm about to hit a really big Charlotte chapter. But it's just such an interesting juxtaposition between Sabine and Alice. Alice did not want this. I mean, she wanted a lot of things that being a vampire can offer her, like that lack of fear is so huge for her because she's so scared of so many things. And just very socially inept. I don't want to say inept because I'm the same way and I don't want to call myself inept. But, I mean, we have that, and then we have Sabine that really wanted to be a vampire because she wanted any escape out of her life because it just was not what she wanted in the 1500s at all. So, like, it'll be interesting to see if this is what Charlotte wants or not, and how she becomes a vampire. I'm assuming that Sabine turns her. But, yeah, like, I feel like V.E. SCHWAB does a really nice job making me care about the characters. Ooh, another thing, I'm really curious to see where the flashbacks with Alice's sister are going, because I'm not gonna lie, those can be a little bit tedious for me at times, but I feel like there's a big purpose and I don't know where it's going, and I have a feeling it might be somewhere tragic. So yeah, I'm really curious to see where that's going to. I like V.E. SCHWAB's writing. A little bit heavy-handed on, like, I've sometimes, once in a while, I feel like the figurative language can be like a little bit forced, but it's honestly pretty solid. don't mind the rather bare bookshelf there. I'm just trying to like, I de-Christmasified everything, and now I need to get that like back to where it's supposed to be. But anyway, I got decently far into Barry Bones and Midnight Soil, like in the ending. I'm not at the end yet, but I'm decently far into my remainder of pages, and it's just really cool. Like, one of the pieces of lore that I love that she's doing, like, and I'm not sure if anyone else has done it this way or just her, this is the only book I've encountered where this is a thing, but the older that you get as a vampire, the more you lose your human self and your like ability to empathize and be compassionate and things like that. And so in Charlotte's story, we're seeing how she crossed paths with Sabine and how they were together for a while, and we're seeing now how Sabine, when she was about 300, finally started to change. Well, actually more going on 400. We really see some really big changes for her. And it's all instinct, it's all hunger. Like, she's basically like blacking out, eyes are turning black and just killing people, and just in really brutal ways. She's really mistreating Charlotte. And we don't know what the culture is among vampires in the 1800s, really. Like, so we see Sabine be a vampire with the few people that she encounters in like the 15, 16, 1700s. And we can see a little bit of vampire culture through Alice's POV in the present day, but we don't know anything about the 1800s when Charlotte was first turned into the 1900s. And just the fact that it's so obvious now that other vampires just weren't living the same way that Sabine was. And a lot of them were trying to hold on to more human characteristics. And so Charlotte is starting to finally, like, she just put the pieces together that she's like in an abusive relationship. I mean, Sabine flips out at the prospect of Charlotte being around any other vampires. And it's crazy because, like, reading this book in the first, like, half, Sabine was, like, my favorite character to read because she wasn't always like this. She was always, like, crazy, but she was never, like, this crazy. So, yeah, she was a flawed character before, but still likable. And now, like, you're just seeing her turn into an absolute monster. And the fact that we can infer at this point that she's still alive and she's 500 years old and probably turned Alice. I mean, when we see her, I'm sure we're going to see her in present day. I'm a little scared of what she's going to be like. So I'm thinking, I feel like this story is about, you know, specifically women wanting a better life, not having a lot of choices. And so, you know, these women have not fit into the lives that they were pushed into, and becoming a friggin' vampire was quite literally their only good way out. So, like, that's crazy. But then you also see, like, there's always a cost to everything, and there's this cost to getting what they want because they're losing themselves along the way. And, you know, that's one thing about Sabine always, is she was always, like, real low-key about this idea of, like, I need people's blood to live. Like, never seemed to really bug her that much, which, you know, should have been a red flag for me, but whatever. You know, but for all the others, it is, like, such a big deal. So I love that vampires, like, any sort of vampire book, there's always, like, this question of ethics and, like, if you had to live this way, like, how would you feel and what would it be like? Like, I don't know. I love vampire books. I've yet to find a vampire book that I didn't like. But I'm hoping to finish it. If I don't finish it tonight, I'm definitely going to finish it this weekend. Really curious to see how it's all going to wrap up and what kind of final thoughts we're going to be left with. I'm about to hit the final 20 pages, and so what I think is going to happen... At first I thought maybe Alice is going to want to choose to be a vampire because now she realizes that if she kills Sabine, she can go back to being human. I kind of wonder if she's going to choose to be a vampire instead. But also, the way that things are playing out, I feel like Charlotte is in league with Sabine again. I wonder if now that Charlotte is aging, that she is losing touch with her human self, and she is now playing this game with Sabine. We'll see. Okay, so I'm having a very late breakfast. It's like noon, but I finished Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, and this whole time I thought that like I was gonna give it a 4 out of 5, right? Because there was a lot that I liked about it. I love the feel of it. Did it mean a ton to me necessarily personally all the time? Not necessarily, but I don't know. A lot of people don't like the ending from what I've seen online, but I actually did really like it. I think that the people that think it's too simple, that like, you know, how could Alice do anything about Sabine when she's this 500-year-old vampire, no one else could? Well, apparently, the way I see it is no one else has successfully tried to kill Sabine. That's kind of my vibe. Towards the end, Charlotte, you know, you start to realize that Charlotte is not the most reliable narrator, because she doesn't seem to understand that she too is losing her own humanity. And I wondered if it was kind of a red flag when she decided to just not be a relationship girl anymore, just because it's not her character. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that was kind of the warning sign that she was taking her heart out of her relationships because she wasn't having them, if that makes sense. So I don't know. We have that. And if I just think about the way that these women have changed, so like Charlotte has completely changed her, like her ability to like care about others. Is like she just doesn't seem to care anymore. She claims that she used to look to see if Sabine was going to turn the girls that she was having, you know, these like quick little one night stands with, and I don't know if I believe it or not. I think that it might, maybe at first that was the goal, but I think after a while it was easier for her to deal with Sabine murdering her partners when they weren't truly her partners, and her heart was like, she just wasn't as attached. So I guess I'm not sure if I believe if Alice is the first one necessarily that Sabine has turned. I think that realistically Sabine has probably turned others, but, and maybe Charlotte has in the past had these girls attempt to kill Sabine and they haven't been able to before. You know, I don't really know. It just kind of depends on how you interpret Charlotte and her actions at the end. I just thought that the way that it all ended, the death scenes, I thought that it was kind of clever. I like that we finally get to see why this relationship with Alice's sister has had such a huge impact on her in the end. It was really sad, but I think that my biggest takeaways from this book are that if you look at Charlotte and how she changes, she kind of becomes the opposite of what she wanted to be or what she was. And if you look at Sabine and if you look at the way that she mistreats Charlotte, it completely mirrors the way that her husband had mistreated her. She was isolated from the outside world completely, was expected to just be whatever he wanted. And then towards the end, we start to see a little bit more physical abuse. So Sabine literally becomes what she was running away from. I think that what this kind of means then is if we have too much power, too much influence, too much endless power, I guess, you can kind of become the person that you never wanted to become. Like, I think that it shows that, like, it doesn't matter how you're starting, that power is going to negatively change all of us with too much of it. I was definitely picturing Jimmy Kimmel Bauer as Ezra for some reason. And I don't know, I've seen people online kind of debate how his ethics have changed. I'm not sure. I mean, he's old enough that he should have lost some of his humanity. But I guess I just don't know for sure how we're seeing it and what evidence we have of it. Yeah, I think that this is about what happens when we have too much power. I think it shows what can happen if somebody is completely powerless, finally has an escape. And like maybe kind of the impact of like, if these women were not treated so like poorly and weren't, you know, and if they had not been held to such rigid expectations for their time, literally all of this could have been avoided. So, I mean, I think that there's that too. I don't know. I like that V.E. Schwab doesn't tell us exactly what to get out of it. I like that it's kind of up in the air. I don't know. I think that these characters were really vivid to me, and I think I'm just going to continue to think of them. And I really love when a villain is actually morally gray, because people say that villains are morally gray or whatever, but no, like Sabine is actually, like, you see her transform. Like, she was a little crazy at first, and then gets really, really crazy at the end. So she starts off morally gray, and then she kind of becomes like morally destroyed. I don't know. I enjoyed her storyline. I enjoyed Charlotte's. Alice was definitely the slower paced one, but after a while she did kind of grow on me. I definitely totally forgot while I was reading, because I was just so in the moment, that like literally that Charlotte totally lied to Alice that because Sabine killed her maker and she was still a vampire. Duh, but whatever. Anyway, my first impression of V.E. SCHWAB is pretty fantastic, actually. I want to read, dare I say, everything that she's written. I mean, I'm impressed. I'm happy that I tried her out finally. I'm happy that I loved this. If you've read it, let me know what you think. What other V.E. SCHWAB do you recommend next? Hope you're all doing well. See you next time. Bye.